Shalom, shalom. On live, the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Okay, there we go. We up. All right, we'll get into some more. All right, shalom. Y'all by Shem Yahushua Break Thumb. Y'all with Shamal Thun by Shem Yahushua. To the sisters, to the brothers, we live the I.S.U.P.K Biblical Law class. All right, there we go. Okay, so we'll get into it as usual. Every Wednesday night, the Biblical Law class. All right, we'll get into these stories here. The roles, like what is God's roles in the Bible, according to the scriptures, the roles for a man, the roles for a woman. All right. Give people just a few moments. Come in here, get in the class. Just be sure to put your name, city, and state for attendance. All right. All right. We're going to pick up where we left off. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started here. We're going to go to, like, the Lord has roles. The Lord has roles that he intended for a man to play and roles for a woman to play. And they're very important. But one of the most important things is to understand that the Lord did not create a man and a woman to do the same thing. You understand? Like there's a lot of misconceptions because of the Christian church, which has given all of the power and all of the credibility and strength for everything evil that America and the eugenics movements and the abortion movements, everything evil that our oppressor has sought out to do to our people, the Christian church has given him credence to be able to do so, has given him the power, has given them the backing. Shalom, has given him everything that he needs in order to help destroy the Lord's people. You understand? And we're going to get into the roles and see how the thought processes are clashing with a lot that's going on. You understand? The Christian preachers are truly, although you may hear us say this so many times, the Christian preachers and the Christian church is truly responsible for all of the horrible things that happen to our people, all of our failures of families, all of our failed relationships. If you have a clubhouse, you can hear, you understand, you can hear the disgusting things that Christianity has taught our people to believe in. Like you will hear the things, especially what it has taught our sisters and what it has taught brothers. The entire fabric of Christianity and what it teaches our people has literally eroded away what God calls love. You understand? It has eroded away the love of what God says is love in the Black community, in the Black, Hispanic, Native American community. It's done such a damaging work and such a damaging job. You understand? That now there's a huge, of course, not now, it's not something that's new, but there's a huge mindset that sisters are being taught because of America, because of our oppressors' money, because of feminism and the Christian church teaching that you can go directly to God. You don't need a man for anything. And because of the failures that Black, Hispanic, and Native American women have witnessed happen in our community, because the Christian church has failed to teach our people how God said to have a family, how God said to have a marriage, how God said to raise our children. The Christian church has done such a damaging work, and it is such a cancer and such a plague and such a virus, you understand, to our people. You understand? It's done such a terrible thing that our people do not realize how its effects have done so negatively a work on our people's minds. All right. We're going to get to these things. It's just so damaging. Khan, all right. Most High in Christ. The sister says she used to be one. All right. Like that's such a terrible thing to teach our people. It's such a terrible thing. And we're going to show in the scriptures. All right. We're going to get to these scriptures. All right. Is so it's very cruel and it's very dangerous. The same way it's very irresponsible as well. that the things that the Christian church has taught our people. All right. So let's get into, of course, anybody got any questions before we go ahead and get started? Go ahead and type in. All right. All right. Like the entire purpose that the Lord made a woman was for a man. You understand? That was the whole purpose. You understand? Damn right, sister. That's a very important thing. There's so many toxics. There's a lot of talk about toxic masculinity and how toxic it is for a man, you understand, to be in his masculinity. But there is no talk about toxic femininity. Like, you cannot hold a woman responsible for anything that she does or says. And of course, through the spirit of the Most High in Christ and under the strict discipline and teachings of Commander General YAHANNA that he has taught us, we understand how important it is to say what the truth is and to live what God said to live. You understand? No matter who disagrees with it. We're going to start here as for what it's saying. We're going to start in 1 Corinthians, the 11th chapter and verse 1. Shalom, Yirash, Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Be ye followers of me, even as I also am of Christ. Paul is explaining these things, saying, follow me. What it means to follow Christ is to follow the example of the man that God put in charge to represent the nation. The Lord did not put everyone in charge. The Lord did not put mommy in charge. The Lord did not put grandma in charge. The Lord did not put every man in charge. There's a strict order and hierarchy. And that's what it means to be a man. To be a man is to follow orders from the men above you. This concept, and that was something very important that I had. Y'all make sure y'all thumb up the video, like, share, everybody. Y'all got family, Virginia, anywhere. Y'all bring them in here, man. Y'all let them know, share the videos and everything so we can fix our people, all right? To be a man, important part is learning how to take orders from men that are greater than you, men that have more understanding than you. There's so much, because of the Christian church, the emphasis on what it means to be a man is tied to the white man's money, because the God that our people worship, the God of the Christian church, is money, specifically the white man's money. That is the God our people worship, which is why Christ said what we get ready to read in a little bit. All right. The God that our people have been taught to worship is whatever makes our people money. America has a vested interest in destroying our people because it is very profitable. They full well understood when they were pitching the feminist movement to the Christian preachers, which was the only way they could get access to black women, because the Christian church is a cancer. It is that scene from Friday where Bernie Mac is sneaking into the house to go and see Miss Parker while her husband is at work. That is the spirit of the Christian church. That is the spirit of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. That spirit's job was to separate the man and the woman, to separate the woman's authority figure, her head that the Lord appointed, which was her man, and to separate the man from the help and the power that the Lord gave him when he gave that helpmeet to help him accomplish his job that the Lord had given him. There's a very important purpose for a woman. You understand? Very important. And it's so criminal that the Christian church does not teach our sisters the importance and the duty that the Lord created them for to their man. Not to all men, not to every man, not to the white man, not to the man at work, not to the man who's going to hand you your degree and give you your security clearance when you get your job, but to your man. That man you lay down and have sex with, that is the man that you are to represent in the earth. And the Christian church steals that from sisters, because that is how you put everything in life in order. That's how you manage the panic attacks. That's how you manage the anxiety and the fear with the knocks that come on your door, with the phone calls that come after a certain time, with the bills that are coming in, with the stress at work, with the danger and the natural paranoia that comes with being a woman, knowing that she has no protection and no support and no backing. That was done by the Christian church. You as a woman should not feel though you don't have any protection, you don't have any backing, there is no help, there is no counsel that you can get, you understand, with your problems and your issues. This happened because the Christian church has pumped sisters' heads up with the white supremacist, feminist, lesbian Christian philosophy that she should be on her own and no one should be able to direct or tell you what to do as long as you make more money than them or believe that you are higher educated than them, which is what sisters are saying and what many men are saying as well in regards to how to deal with a sister and what sisters are saying and what is in their mind that is such a damaging, cancerous feeling. You understand? No female that the Lord created on this earth is living and thinking that she should live a life completely separate from the males of her species. You understand? Like no one. That's the very notion that this is something that is acceptable is literally the downfall of that species. It's the end of that species. If the female lioness decided that she no longer needed the male lion, what little cubs that she would have would be killed by the hyenas and all the other predators. And as you can see in the black community, the cubs that are being born to these sisters and left to their own without that man being in charge of the family and the community and the pride and the neighborhood and the territory, you see that the children are running wild. They're in the hallways all hours of the night. They're in the streets. They're having sex with everybody. They're getting pregnant. Then they're getting abortions. They're getting shot. They're going to jail. All of these things are out of order because the Christian church has failed to teach our people the correct purpose that the Lord created a man and a woman for. You understand? All right, shalom. Y'all says, like, this is a very evil thing that the Christian church taught our people. Paul is explaining this is what it means to follow Christ. If you are a woman, what it means to serve the Most High is different for what it means if you are a man. You understand? The duties that the Lord created a woman for are not the same duties that God created a man for. It is a sexist, not necessarily sexist, it is a feminist, homosexual, irrational, lesbian thought process that a man and a woman are equal. We're not talking about payment. We're not talking about education. We're not talking about resources and abilities. Because when the man was in charge of the family, the community was safer, the children were safer, our people were not getting kidnapped to this magnitude, we weren't killing each other, we weren't filled with these diseases. And the wealth and the resources, not only did that man have, he took care of his family that he was with most of the time, and he also had another family that was filled with a whole nother wife and a whole nother set of children that he also supported and took care of when the resources were in his ability. Now that America has taken the ability for the man to rule in that capacity, because all of the wealth and finances in the community are now given to the woman. That was strategically done. Pharaoh sought to do the same thing. The Romans sought to do the same thing when Christ was born. We read that in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, after Pharaoh said to kill all the Hebrew boys that were born unto Hebrew midwives, and they refused to do it. They told the Jews to kill all of the toddlers when Christ was born. That's why Joseph got a vision from the angel in a dream to take his wife and child and go and stay in Egypt until this boy grew up some more to come back into the land, because they understood that by killing off and separating that male from his power, that this would destroy our people and ensure that they would always be able to rule over our people with the vanity that they would be able to instill in us. Without that man to guard the family, without the mindset and the spirit that the Lord put in a man, that has largely been rejected from the entire community because of the Christian church and feminism. It has been rejected overall because it comes with power and authority and order to tell people that something is wrong and this is the way that it should be done. You understand? So we're going to get some of these. This is what Paul is talking about. 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man. Like there's a head of a woman is the man. Not all men. It's going to get specific. We're going to explain what it's talking about. All right. Whether you like to believe it or not, that feminist movement is not led by a woman. Just like the notion that the serpent told Eve in the Garden of Eden did not come from a all-seeing diva, Mother Earth. It came from a man, you understand, who would later become what we know today as the Edomites or Esau or the Caucasian or the so-called white man, our chief oppressor. Shalom, sis. Yahweh Shemal Athah Shem Yahweh Shai. That demon's job was to pump her head, to pump Eve's head, filled with lies about how she could be in charge and rule and be a diva and goddess and boss lady if she got from underneath of the authority of following her man to follow another man. It was a carefully plotted, orchestrated plan to systematically separate the love, the respect, the honor, you understand, that the Black, Hispanic, and Native American woman has for the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, so that they can now look in love and power to America's system, aka the white man's money and his rights that he gives that's tied to his money and his feminism that is going to make his economy explode now that you are uncontrollably spending and getting in trouble because there is no man to rule over you and tell you that this is a horrible idea and this is going to get someone killed. You understand? The children, especially the brothers, are being raised very feminine without a masculine capacity, which is why everyone is so emotionally charged that if you hurt someone's feelings, everyone must get gunned down in the community. That is a very feminine, immediate action without thinking thing that was not in place to this magnitude as it was. Men fought all the time, but everyone did not get shot 5 and 6, 7, 8 people a day until mommy ruled the family, because there's an unnatural order that has been put over our people that came from our oppressor, that the Christian preachers gave credence, they gave honor and reverence to his philosophies and made them seem as though they came from God. Prime example, the most famous Christian preacher next to Martin Luther King right now, arguably between him and Farrakhan and Creflo Dollar, is T.D. Jakes. Many pastors admire and look up to him and share his vision and hold him in high regards. But the damage that comes from the evil that he said, with woman thou art loose, don't let anybody block your flow or stop your blessings. You understand? These evil things that he taught. When you say that thou art loose, loosed from who? Who is it that is holding you down? America is giving welfare, is giving housing, is giving tuition assistance, is giving everything. Stipends to go to school, grants. You understand? You have all of the money, the wealth, the degrees, the houses are being left in your name. Because after the downfall of the Black economy, the power structure in the family changed to all of it being given to the woman. A lot of brothers went away to war, went away and joined America's government and military. And when that happened, during those years, America worked to pour drugs into the community. And on top of that, they also came in the late 80s in the time frame then with the government assistance acts to make sure to further devise a wedge between the Black woman and the Black man. I'm going to read a scripture to show how the heathens have always done things with their laws. Of course, if you outright show someone getting beaten upside the head in the street, anyone with good sense can say, why are you doing this? This is a crime. This is evil. You're going to murder him. But what is also a war tactic and violence and subtle, you got to remember, our oppressor is the most subtle beast of the field that the Lord says. Openly showing you a video of them killing somebody would get national sentiments. Nobody cared about dead Black people, but seeing Emmett Till's body beaten and bloated like that in that church at his funeral provoked our oppressors to see the evil that their own people were doing. And it was not for the sake of our lives. It was for the sake of making them feel bad that they were tied to it because their people did these actions. You understand? That's another thing you got to put into your spirit. Like this all lives matter is an answer because the goal is to take the focus off of you being killed and add in the fact that I feel bad because my people are doing these crimes. And I don't want to feel bad, so I don't want race history taught in schools. I don't want the Trail of Tears and the transatlantic slave trade and the fact that they had to murder all the Mexicans before they moved west, gold rush and westward expansion, and murder the tribe of Issachar to get California and Texas, and all the raping and murdering and lynching and bombing, and you understand, and psychological warfare and torture. I don't want that taught to my kids in school because I don't want them to have to feel like they come from a seed of murderers and criminals, which is the reality. I don't want them to have to deal with the weight of what their forefathers did to make them a Disney World and a King's Dominion and an HBO and a Las Vegas and a Washington, D.C. and nation's capital and the Big Apple. I don't want them to have to feel bad about enjoying what it took for them to be the happy white people you see today. So I don't care about the effects that it's going to have on your children. I only care about what it's going to do for my children to hear the truth because they love their people and don't give a damn about anyone else. That's what Christian preachers don't understand, and they don't love black people enough to tell the truth because they don't work for God anyway. They work for America's money. Now let's get to this. Daniel chapter 8 and verse 25 says, and through his policy is talking about creating laws. Also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. What is craft talking about? We got a couple of brothers and sisters in this class. What is craft talking about? What does he mean by causing craft to prosper in his hand? What does that mean? You understand? Y'all type in here. What does that mean? What craft is he talking about? With his policy, he's going to cause craft to prosper. You understand? About witchcraft. These crafts, you understand? Feminism. The Christian church has taught witchcraft to our people. Problems or issues, okay, that's a good try, sis. Has taught things to our people that literally lead to thinking that a murder is not a murder, like abortion. If you mention abortion, it's not looked at as though this is murdering one person. It's looked at as though I have a choice to end someone else's life. Like the concept and the notion that it is acceptable to kill a baby because you don't want to deal with having to raise or care or nurture that baby, that is unfeminine. That is the exact nature of what the Lord put in femininity. And a craft and policies that America, that our oppressor has taught our sisters to think that it is acceptable to kill a baby off, to murder a baby. You put up money, somebody goes and does the hit, they take some swords, some knives, they pulling heads, they doing all kind of torture to a person. If it was not a person, you would not have to do surgery to kill it, to stop it from growing. But the witchcraft and that policy of pro-choice and women's right to choose taught that it was acceptable to kill a baby. And it could not have been done without removing the man from power and authority, or without removing the respect and the honor that came with being a man and the decisions that you made in reflection as to how it would show as a light to your husband or to your father. All right? And how it would affect the community. People get upset about the children shooting and killing each other, but if mommy decided that she didn't want to have to raise you or your brother or your sister or however many other brothers and sisters that you should have had because she had the money to go and have that baby murdered with a damn mafia hit, why would they not? How could you tell some child it's wrong to shoot up the neighborhood if you put up $400 to kill a goddamn baby? You have no moral authority to tell anyone anything. And this is a huge problem in our community, the hypocrisy. You understand? If you have the right to kill a baby and abort it, then some 14-year-old who's angry at life has the right to do a late-term abortion on whoever he shoots in the neighborhood. And you are no more right for murdering a baby than he is for doing a late-term abortion out on the street. And if he's wrong, then you're wrong. And if it's okay for you to do it, then you should not be upset when he does it either, because that's that gender equality nonsense that everybody's talking about. Like, that's another thing. That's why the Lord said through his policy, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. Our people right now, black people in America, not Africans, not all melanated peoples of the earth, the Negro in America now is dying at a rate much higher than we are being born, meaning our numbers are being taken from the earth, and there are not enough of us being reborn to replenish ourselves in the earth. You understand? That is a clear downslide to ending our people on the planet, which, of course, if you're filled with personal salvation and Jesus can work it out, and I got my rights and women's rights to choose, and I vote in my body, my choice, and all of these other crafts and policies that America put in place, that it just so seems to happen to find its way targeted and having the greatest effect on the black community. It says craft will prosper in his hand. There's someone working these strings to make these things happen. These aren't your thoughts. The CIA did careful work and planning, and the FBI, to make sure back in the 60s and 70s when they were working on these things that you would have these thoughts in 2020. They planned for this, and we had no protection from it because the Christian preachers taught us to worship the white man and his money instead of obeying what the Lord laid down in these scriptures. It says, and through his policy he shall cause craft to prosper, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. The more and more, a lot of people complain about, Karen is so rude, and Karen is doing things she's got no right to do, and she's harassing people, and she's calling the police and pretending like she's being hurt. And, the police are evil at traffic stops. They beating up brothers. They shooting sisters. They stripping sisters on the side of the road, pulling their clothes off, beating brothers on the street, gunning them down. Well, you following our oppressors' policies, his policy of integration, his policy allowing you to have interracial marriages, when the Lord said, if you are Black, Hispanic, or Native American, you are forbidden from having sex with another nation of people. The Lord said that thou shalt not murder, but his policy says it's acceptable to have an abortion if you don't want to deal with the baby. The Lord said that you can't have a divorce, that a woman is not allowed to have sex with more than one man in her life if that man has not died that she laid down with. Well, through that policy, they've taught feminism that a woman has a right to go and chase happiness and be with whatever man, woman, child, dog, boy, girl that she wants to. Through these policies, that magnifies our oppressor in his heart. Because our people choose to obey America, the white man's customs and philosophies over what God says, this emboldens Karen. This makes them proud. Shalom, Shibshab Berkatah. This makes Karen bolder in, I got a right to call the police so that they can show up and kill these young Black children, because these people refuse to obey God. There's a story in the scriptures about prophets of Moab, of Baalim, and they said a heathen king asked them to curse the Israelites, and the heathen king said to the prophet, I'm going to pay you to curse these Israelites. And the heathen king learned from the prophets of Baal. The heathen king was told, if these people obey their God, we can do nothing to them. But if they sin against their power, then we can hurt them. And the only thing and the only reason that these murders, these shootings, these things that you're seeing, they're not stopping because of your votes, your cries, your tears, your candlelight vigils, your protests. That has been a waste of time since the days of Martin Luther King. It has not stopped. It may have gotten subtle, and it got subtle because the businesses and communities we set up for ourselves, they came and murdered everybody and burned it down. And then the notion that we were now included into their world, when really all we got to do was to work for them and give more of our money to them while destroying our family and the relationships that we had with each other, and our own communities fell apart. That's what happened with integration. That's it. They got the money that we had and kept to each other to maintain our communities. They got it and split it amongst the Chinese, the Arabs, the Africans, the East Indians, and now we are left hating each other with all of their job positions, all of their entertainment roles, all of their degrees, all of their sports roles, while our communities erode, our children hate and kill each other. We can't keep families together, but got a whole bunch of degrees, a whole bunch of money, a whole bunch of jewelry, a whole bunch of clothes, and not one and very little stable communities left the way that we had before integration. That's what happened, because through that policy, it caused the witchcraft to think that we were a part of America to prosper. And this causes them to magnify themselves in their heart to believe that they have a right to hurt. They have a right to kill us. They have a right to murder and kidnap and put our children in dog cages, because we will not obey the Most High, which is our protection. You understand? And by peace shall destroy many. By holding hands, you saw all those senators take a knee. When Kaepernick took a knee, you saw Joe Biden take a knee, and a lot of the senators taking a knee because they're seeking peace. You understand? They don't care that you're getting killed at traffic stops. Joe Biden and Bill Clinton signed the crime bill to make sure that in 94 you were going to go away when the community was plagued with the same drug addictions with crack and heroin that they called us super predators and criminals. Now that the opioid crisis is gone to their children, they're not super predators and criminals. They're sick, and it's a health crisis. Because by seeking peace with our oppressors, it taught us to lower our guard, to no longer look at them as our enemies, like God said. And while our people were taught to seek peace with them, that's in the past, is ancient history. Slavery's over. You know, the Trail of Tears is over. That's ancient history. While thinking those things, they also were able to teach us craft and policy to turn us against each other. It says, by his peace he shall destroy many. You understand? Back when we were fight the power, don't want no white man in our community. I'm not going to Vietnam to fight no Viet Cong. Ain't no Viet Cong ever called me no nigger. You understand? We don't belong in Master's house. We belong in our own house. Back when we was all strong and powerful and loving our people, we weren't shooting and killing and doing these things to each other. Our families were together. Sisters had husbands. They weren't raising children by themselves. We had plenty of problems, of course. You understand? But we were not in as bad a shape as we are now back then. You understand? And that peace that Martin Luther King taught us to seek for and join with our oppressors, that peace led us to join his police forces, while we add credibility, and he comes in the neighborhood and kills and beats up young black brothers and rape sisters at the traffic calls and all kinds of things. Well, now they have credibility because they're black officers. You can't say it's racism because, Colin Powell is a general in the army. It ain't about race no more. We all together. You can't say the NFL is racist because, you don't have the Negro Leagues anymore. That was the witchcraft. You're not Negro Leagues baseball and football and basketball. It's the National League. You are part of the nation. The nation that murders you at traffic stops, tells your woman to abort your babies, tells her to throw you out of her house, puts the Olympics, the goal of playing some goddamn sports over your babies getting molested by Dr. Nasser, you understand, in the Olympic Committee, because we must have sports. We must have football, so Jerry Sandusky must be allowed to rape everybody, and we're going to keep quiet about it because this money and the God that we taught to worship in the Christian church is the money. You understand? And he'll sell drugs for that money and murder for it and whore your sister out for it. You understand? And leave your man and kill your baby for it, because that is the God that we are taught. This is the witchcraft and the policy that caused the craft to prosper in our minds, because the Christian teachers taught us to love our oppressor instead of what love is according to the Bible, which is to obey the Most High. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, which is Christ, but he shall be broken without sword. The goal and the thing that we are supposed to be hoping and praying for as believers and followers of Christ is for Christ to return and destroy this empire and this system. Not for us to be a part of it, so that, you understand, clan members and slave owners and their children can now have another kingdom of wealth and power and love from God that they're going to share with all the slaves they beat, murdered, and raped. Like, this is witchcraft. This is what the Lord was telling our people. This is what he had been telling the prophets since the old days, that our people did not want to hear. And it's still happening. All right. So now we go back to 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse, we're going to go to verse, head of every man. Let's go back to 11:3. It says, but I would have you know that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is the man, and the head of Christ is the Most High. You understand? Verse 4, every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. What is his head? His head is the top or the crown of his head. You understand? That's why we have holes in the top of our headpieces. This was always Israelite customs. Same way with Demetrius. The East Indians and the Arabs tried to copy our culture because they saw how powerful and wise our people and our prophets were. That's why they put that turban on their head that covers their entire head up, because they'd taken a custom from a people that they stole from when they had us in slavery. And of course, they have no idea what they're doing, but it comes from us. So it makes the culture that much wiser. It makes them look like they're wise, even though they take baths in cow feces, you understand, and pray to statues and worship deformed children that they have from all of the evil, wicked witchcraft that they're doing over there, and all of the weed that they smoking, and all of the milk of the poppy and opium epidemic that they having over there with heroin in India and Pakistan and Afghanistan, which, if you did not know, that's where the heroin comes from. You understand, those poppy fields. That's also where weed comes from, that ganja plant. That's where those dreadlocks that black people think is such a black culture comes from. Those are East Indian customs or Elamite customs. You understand? But it says, verse 5, but every woman that prayeth or prophesieth with her head uncovered dishonoreth her head. As a woman, it is spiritual and also physical. If you are reading the Bible, if you are in class, if you are being taught the scriptures, you should have your head covered. You understand? To teach humility, which is something that is very foreign, very strange from the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community. Our sisters do not have humility in the world. Not in here, because you're taught humility. And if you don't follow that, then you'll find yourself back in the world, because Satan will take you out of here. You understand? If you did not know, that's why you stop seeing sisters. You understand? That's what happens. But it is to spiritually teach our people a behavior that the Lord wants us to have. All right? And it says, every woman praying, uncovering her head, dishonors her head. It's a dishonor to her head, which is the man. And these things that are in the Bible, the Lord has it set up to teach a woman that it is godly. It is an order from God. It is the natural order that the Lord set up to have your head covered, so that you can always remember. That does not mean you cannot show your hair ever, like the Muslims do. That does not mean that your hair has to always be in a wrap, and you can't ever have your braids or your hair, your afro or your curls showing. That is not what that means. This is about praying, you understand, or prophesying, you're reading the Bible, you're learning the scriptures. Your head is to be covered, you understand, to honor the order that the Most High set up. That order gets no honor at all in the earth today, you understand, outside of the UPK, because everybody else thinks a man and a woman are equal. That's why the fake Israelites and Christians is telling a man he can't have more than one wife. You understand? These are concepts that Christians created so that their people could have a functioning society. This is something that you need to tell white people, that a man must have and be married to a woman. Otherwise, The fun sex that they are going to have is going to be with them having sex with little boys and children and other men. You're going to need to regulate them by a law. Otherwise, you'll see the LGBT community explode. And the success that they have received as a people following our laws and rules, or as best that they could understand them, built this great empire of America and all of the other empires that every other heathen nation ever had that had us in captivity. We are trying to rebuild ours, and this is the framework that the Lord gave the Apostle Paul to teach our people how to put our family, our nation back together. You can't have a nation without families. You understand? There is no nation. You can't have a bunch of mommies in charge of everything. That's what we have now. That's why everybody's getting killed and everybody's sick. You understand? And this is just what the Lord is trying to teach. All right. And it says, for that is even all one as if she were shaven. Another concept that is against the Lord is for a woman to shave her head, a man to shave her head. That was a very Egyptian thing, to shave your head bald. That's an Egyptian custom. It is a heathen custom. It is not something that should be done. A woman is not supposed to shave her head. You understand? Cut her head down to look like a little boy. If there's something wrong with your hair, or if you are medically unable to grow hair, or you have some disease or sickness or something in your head, that is something that is different. But if you trying to be trendy and be Nefertiti and goddamn Cleopatra, you are not to shave your head bald. Cutting your hair down to look like a little boy, get you a short fade, all these things, like that's not feminine. That's not the spirit of the Most High. These things come from the oppressors who promote lifestyles. A lot of things is done in our community because the Christian church has only taught us to sing and dance and a bunch of damn fairy tales. They have not taught us how to be protected from the wiles of the devil. The scriptures say, a lot of people quote, submit, you understand, submit unto God, resist the devil, and he shall flee. You understand? We are not immune, we're not ignorant to the wiles of the devil. However, our people do not know what comes from the devil, because our people do not know that God said that our oppressor is the devil. You understand? That the Bible speaks of. And because we don't know that, the things that our oppressor presents to us, we believe that these things come from God because we don't know that God said the white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand? That's how we accepted abortion and feminism and lesbianism. And, he's just sensitive. It's okay if you want to play with dolls and all these things. And all the times when men would try to correct children, in many cases, a woman would stand up to battle them for what was best for the child. And now we see decades later, after their mobs of boys of Little Nas X and Men in Pink and being women and having sex with other men, and AIDS is everywhere, killing our people in record numbers, more than Africa. Now we see that it may have been better to just do what the hell the Lord put in the spirit of a man to do and obey him. That's why there's a covering on your head, that no matter how much degrees, how much money you make, how many shoes and purses and cars and houses and timeshares and businesses that you create, the Lord have deprived you as a woman of something that you desperately need to live and survive. And it's not a degree. It's not the ability to do math or balance or to do accounting or to teach a class or to be a saleswoman or to dance or to sing. The Lord did not deprive that. The Lord deprived a woman of wisdom. You understand? Knowledge, education, and wisdom are not the same things. You understand? And he did it for a purpose, so that she would be totally reliant on the wisdom and not think that she could be separate from her man, which is what the Christian church has done, which is why T.D. Jakes is worth 20, 40, 50, 60 million dollars. Is why these mega churches like Creflo Dollar gets a second jet, because the Christian church is filled with our people. It's filled with sisters making them rich for the feeling that it is acceptable, you understand, to not have to obey the head, their man. You understand? Okay, so let's see. All right, so now we're going to go to First Corinthians. We'll keep going. First Corinthians chapter 11, and now we're going to go to verse July. We're going to go to verse 7. It says, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head. Like a man should not have the top of his head covered. You understand? That's why if you're a sister, you salute a brother. Sisters cover the top of their head, because spiritually there's a covering. You understand? That's how you put life in order. You understand? For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of the Most High. A man is the glory of the Most High. A man represents God. You as a woman do not represent God. You cannot represent the Lord. You are not made to represent God. That is not what the Lord created a woman for. The Christian church has lied by teaching women's empowerment and that homosexual doctrine of equality between genders, which later on led to feminism, which led to the woman being in charge, which led to all of the children getting molested, which led to all of the children shooting and killing each other, which led to half of our people strung out on drugs, which led to the communities falling apart, which led to the sister being alone and depressed and sick and sad. And now heathens buying up the neighborhood that used to be filled with black families, and sisters with money and wealth and power and riches alone by themselves in the suburbs with the kids. That it was the plan that our oppressor had, that the policy which caused craft to prosper. You understand? Because for as it says, for the man, it says, for a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God. By dishonoring your man, dishonoring the black, Hispanic, Native American man, you are dishonoring the Lord. You leave him to go have sex with another man for any reason, you dishonor God. You understand? Killing his babies, you are dishonoring God. Saying that you are equal to the man or you are above the man because of your degree or your status, you dishonor God. And that is why God is not protecting our people. That is why all of the horrible things that have happened to our people in our lives continue to happen, because the Lord is not pleased with the way that we live our lives as a people. This is how we please the Most High. All right. But remember, anytime you see if, and but in the scriptures, these are some of the most important words in the entire Bible. But, as Officer Quashar in class, Officer Quashar, type in if you in class. All right. But the woman is the glory of the man. The woman does not represent God. God did not make a woman. See, the Christian church lining the streets, lining the churches up with single women and sisters, like thinking and believing that because you are in church, that you are representing God with the big hats and the usher gloves and the all white, and you're on the usher board and you're on the choir beating the tambourine and singing the songs and you dancing. That is not representing God. The Lord did not make a woman to represent God. Does that mean a woman cannot sing? That's not true. That's not what it's saying. Does that mean a woman cannot do anything? She's just done and should be at home in the kitchen. You understand? Barefoot and pregnant, which was a white woman and not a black woman, that never applied to our people at all. You understand? What does that mean? We're going to get into it. The glory of a woman, but the woman is the glory of a man. The Lord created, for the man is not of the woman. We don't come from Mother Earth. The vagina is not God. The blessed sacred womb of all holiness, sweet mother divinity, the God, the Queen of Heaven, Virgin Mary, blessed Santa Eulalia, that all of that nonsense, that's not in the Bible. The man, for the man is not of the woman. Babies don't come from women. Men put babies into women, and then women give birth to a child that the man gave to her. That's the order the Lord set up. It's such a confusing thing because our people have been raised in Christianity, where they have been teaching our people, our oppressors' way to spread feminism and homosexuality and lesbianism into our people, which is through the religions that we are in that are all against the Most High. All right. But the woman of the man, the woman comes from the man. Neither was the man created for the woman. God did not make a man for a woman. The Lord made a man and gave him power and authority and instructions. And then, but the woman for the man. As a woman, God created you a woman for the man. That is the purpose. That's the reason you are not a man. God didn't mess up and you were supposed to be a man, and it just so happened that you were born as a woman. So now you will go to the white man and he gonna tell you you can be a man if you want to, and you get surgery and get your breast chopped off, and I don't know what the hell, you try to grow a penis, I don't know, or you buy one from the goddamn white man so that you can pretend like you a man with another woman. That is witchcraft. Our people are under heavy witchcraft. And it was a systematic plan that started with putting the woman in charge of the family and over a man. It could have never been done without the Christian church. It could have never been done. And it will never be fixed or repaired, the damage that was done, unless the Christian church is torn down. The problem is, mommy loves church. Grandma loves church. Aunties love church. Granddaughters love church. And the church is killing our people. You understand? So this is what the Lord is saying. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Has anybody, I know everybody's been to church at least once. Has anybody in their life ever heard this scripture taught in church? Anybody that ever went to church, y'all chime in. There should be more people on here. Has anybody ever heard this scripture before? Y'all heard this scripture before. That neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. Anybody ever heard T.D. Jakes say that? Or Creflo Dollar? Or Martin Luther King? Anybody ever heard that before? Y'all type in. Y'all in here, y'all type in. I don't know what's going on with this viewer here. I don't know what's going on there. If y'all in, y'all type in. Okay, one sister in, she said, La. Where's your Rosh? I don't see Krishal. I don't see your Rosh. Where's y'all at? Did it kick y'all out or something? Are y'all being put out of this broadcast? Is it shutting down or something? Are y'all having to refresh these pages? Because I see the numbers is going up and down. It says watching, but it also says that there's nobody there. Y'all let me know if y'all able to hear me. I see one sister. I don't see or hear anyone else. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay, it froze for a minute. Okay. Is it freezing repeatedly, or it only froze like once? Or are y'all having to keep refreshing it? Because it seems like it might be going out or something. All right. Y'all just type in there. Let me know. Okay, I got you, Shakal. Got you, Kapal. Okay. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Repeatedly. Okay, it's going out repeatedly 2 times. Okay. All right. I wonder why that is. Everything is up. Okay. What about on YouTube? I don't see anybody on YouTube. Maybe it's okay. All right. And it says, for this cause ought the woman to have power on her head because of the angels. Nevertheless, neither is the man without the woman, neither the woman without the man in the Lord. You understand? For as much as the woman is of the man, even so is the man also by the woman. Like a man and a woman have to be together. That's how you make more people. That's how you keep a species going. That's how there are more fish and more birds and more lions and more gazelles and more cheetah and more everything. There must be a man and a woman. You understand? This notion of trying to separate us so that feminism can rule, and the LGBT community, which is run by white men, secret government agent white men that are trying to get rights to make it legal to molest children and it not be a crime, which is the only thing that the LGBTQ WWF is doing, is helping pedophiles get rights to legally molest children and it not be a crime. That was the goal. That's why a man wants to dress up as a woman. That's why a woman wants to dress up as a man. Without all the child molestation and inappropriate touching and rape and sexual violence, none of these things would be. You would not have a community, you understand? But because that is the oppressor's goal, that is his goal, to bring in the full fury of the Roman Empire back to the earth the way that it was. You understand? That's the goal. All right. So let's get some more on that. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians chapter. All right. 1 Thessalonians chapter. It's like 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. Okay, I'm watching. Okay, Most High in Christ. All right. Let's see. 1 Thessalonians. Shalom, Yahushua, Tashim Yahushua. All right, 1 Thessalonians. It should be Thessalonians. It should be Titus. Okay, let's go to Titus chapter 2. So like it, Titus chapter 2, and we're going to start at verse 1. This is what was supposed to have been done. And such a great disservice has been done to sisters and done to brothers as well because of the peace that our people sought by integration. That did such a damage to our people that it cannot be talked about enough. And the only reason that is allowed to continue when our people think and believe and feel that things are wrong and being done to us falsely and solely targeting us because of race is because the Christian church puts a spirit of slumber and complacency on our people. You understand? The lies that they teach that everything is going to be all right and God knows, you understand, God is good all the time. All of those cliches and songs, you understand, that our people are taught as our people are just going through horrible things that the preachers have no answers for because they're not men of God anyway. You understand? But everybody holds them in such a regard. The only men that God set up on the entire planet are in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge. Other people may like to talk about God, sing about God, hold lectures about God, read the Bible, but God did not appoint them to do anything if they are not under commanding General YAHANNA, approved, tested, and certified. You understand? So Titus chapter 2 and verse 1, it says, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, and have a sober and a clear mind in their head. If you believe that all people are equal and race does not matter, which was the belief, which is why our people stopped teaching what happened to previous generations. A lot of people blame the crime in the ghetto and the black community, but they don't teach what created this situation. Them marching with Martin Luther Kings and sitting in those sit-ins and those bus boycotts, instead of us driving our own buses on our own side of town with our nigger businesses and nigger restaurants and nigger food supplies, with our Negro schools that made Negro doctors for Negro colleges and Negro banks. Those things were blown up by our oppressors. They came and killed us, not just in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which everybody knows because it's famous. Most people don't know Rosewood, Florida. They don't know the cities in South Carolina that our oppressor came with lynch mobs and burned down to the ground. Another reason why black men, you understand, ball players and athletes, they're not taught that these towns were burned to the ground because some white woman, some Karen, alleged that Emmett Till whistled at her, or some mystery ghost Negro raped some white woman, you understand, and then white people came from cities and towns and counties and all the surrounding areas and just burned the city down to the ground and just opened fire and killed every man, woman, and child that they saw and took all of the money and loot for whatever was left and then divided it amongst themselves. That is how we became living in these ghettos and these slums. By ourselves, we always rose and stuck together and rebuilt ourselves. We made sure that brothers and sisters were not homeless. We made sure that we had education, and the things that we had learned from our interactions with our oppressors we taught to our people, and it bettered our societies, which is what we should have continued to do and rebuild the same way our oppressor keeps rebuilding in Kansas and Oklahoma and Louisiana every time a flood or hurricane comes and washes their towns away. We did not rebuild. And we had the proper sober mindset from the aged men that were in charge of our communities that taught us this foolish integration is not about race, you understand? Just not talking about it because it seemed too black. It seemed too radical to tell your black and Hispanic, tell your black and Native American children all of the horrors that Cindy and Susie and Becky did so that they could have homes and suburbs in our towns, and why our communities, or why your brothers and sisters on the poorest side of town are filled with drug addiction and don't have fathers in their home, and why they're shooting each other in the streets. This is a family problem. But the aged men did not care. They wanted to get away from it. They wanted to become more American. They wanted to salute the flag and rise for the national anthem and pledge allegiance to America and my country 'tis of thee. And I fought for this country and I'm a patriot and I'm an American. They weren't sober, because by you teaching your sons and daughters to be American, America wants them to abort their babies and be homosexuals so that you have no more grandchildren and they die of AIDS and you end up an old man in the old folks' home staring out the window wondering why your family won't come see you. That's America's goal, because they're going to get rich. As long as your sons and your great-grandsons want to be Americans, they're going to want to shoot up America like the Bananos and the Columbos and the Bananos and the La Cosa Nostra and all the gangs and cartels. They're going to look up to that red and blue, which is the Roman culture, which is why it's in the American flag. They're going to look up to it. And they're going to want to be gangsters and train robbers and kick in doors and put guns in people's faces. And they're going to want to do exactly what you told them to love spiritually by telling them to love America. And it's not sober for you to think it's not your problem. And our people have a concept that if we move out of these neighborhoods, that's going to fix the problem. You are raising the problem. You understand? The problem is going to follow our people. That's what the Lord said, that these curses would follow us. You understand? In the field and in the city. In Deuteronomy 28:15. This is what is needed. You understand? That the aged men be sober, grave, explaining things that are grave situation. It is a grave matter for you as a man to teach your black, Hispanic, and Native American sons to not have sex with white women. It is a grave matter, because the moment she gets tired of you and calls the police and sheds a tear, they're going to kick in the door and bust your head open. Terrence Howard had to learn the hard way as he split God knows how many $100 million from the movies he made because he had to go and have sex with snowflakes. You understand? Sugar Shane Mosley gave up world championship boxing belts because he had to go and lay down. He wasn't taught the grave lesson that God is against interracial marriage. You understand? Kanye West is getting ready to learn that grave lesson in just a few moments, as this failed experiment that cost him what little sanity he had left after his mother died. You understand? With this breakup with that Kardashian thing, he's going to learn. You understand? Martin Luther King had to learn the grave consequences of loving your oppressor. These are grave matters that aged men were supposed to teach our people, that they refused because they loved America and did not care enough about the future generations. They thought that this was the right thing to do. That's why the scripture says there's a way that seems right unto a man, meaning it seems like this was the right thing to do. How could they possibly have known that this is what it would have become? They should have listened to the prophets that God set up in 1969 in the I.S.U.P.K. Those prophets are still raising up more prophets to this day, teaching our people how to undo the mess that they did by not listening to the prophets back in the 60s. You understand? Our people never respected or never honored the words that the prophets that God set up taught our people. Back in the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, the prophets were telling our people not to integrate with America. that we were not Africans, that the Christian church was molesting all of these children, that the popes was homosexuals, that our oppressor was the devil, that they beating and killing brothers, that you wrong for killing your brothers in the neighborhood, that you shouldn't put the woman in charge, that they got the lesbian agenda trying to separate the woman, teaching us she's equal to the man. They're going to eventually tell women that they should get rid of the man and go now and lay down with two women together, that they're going to tell you to kill your babies once you join with them. The prophets the Lord set up in the I.S.U.P.K have been telling our people this since the 1960s, before smartphones, before the internet, before Google, before Bing, before Microsoft, before IBM, before Apple, before all of this technology. The prophets of the Lord were telling our people this the same way Jeremiah, Moses, Paul, Peter, Luke, John, Christ, Isaiah, Noah, Moses, Ezekiel, the same way that God sent his prophets before the problems came. The prophets in the I.S.U.P.K were warning our people, and our people refused to listen in. All of this could have been avoided, every bit of it. All the brothers in jail and prison, all the abortions, all of the AIDS, all of these things could have been avoided. All of the rampant chlamydia and gonorrhea from not knowing God's laws, that sex is marriage and you are not allowed to have sex with a woman that already has a man, or you are not allowed to have sex with another man if you've already laid with one man. All of this could have been avoided. The plans that they would have had to come and kill our people, the Lord would have given them heart attacks, would have caused their pipelines to burst and their houses to catch on fire, would have given them some disease, would have sent an angel to poison the same water that they poison for us, that we have to drink out of and feed to our babies and shower with, like in Flint and in D.C. and in Baltimore and in Detroit and in everywhere else they poison our water. The Lord would have sent an angel to poison their waters, and all we would have had to do was not eat pork, not pray to Allah and all of these other gods, not get high, not be drug dealers, not pray to statues of wood and stone like in the Christian and the Roman Catholic Church, and the Lord would have protected us. But the aged men were not sober. They didn't think about grave matters. They were filled with the foolishness and silliness of Martin Luther King. Temperate, sound in faith in these scriptures. They didn't think it mattered to understand who God's chosen people were. Church was the rave. Getting money was the move of the day. Joining America, getting in their militaries, getting a job, making money. You understand? Our people did not think that it was going to come a consequence for not obeying the prophets the Lord set up. Preachers were telling people that the prophets were gone. The Lord said in the last days he would raise up his servants, the prophets, again. That's the prophecy in Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 4 about the International Space Station and the space race in the 60s. That's when the truth came back into the earth in full force. You understand? It says that they be sound in the faith. Our people don't think that the faith matters. That's why our children take God for a joke. You understand? Like the Christian church is responsible. Charity does not mean giving to the poor. Charity is a God-sponsored love for your brothers and sisters. What is love? To keep the commandments. Charity is to do and keep the commandments concerning brothers and sisters, concerning your people. You understand? Our people would rather leave the community than to do charity, meaning to teach our people to keep God's laws, to keep the laws concerning our people. You understand? To love a woman of your own people as opposed to taking another nation's. That's the love, the charity for the brotherhood. And patience. In patience, being patient with our people. Knowing that our people are destroyed. You understand? The Bill Cosbys and Ben Carsons and big head Uncle Tom Negroes of our people blame the poor with the worst education and the worst food system and the worst living conditions in the poorest communities that were not strong enough to escape and go and blend in with our oppressor's world in his corporate or his sports world to gain riches and power. The poor of our people were left to fend for themselves. And there's no patience in our people. You understand? There's no patience to deal with our people, but our oppressors can get time after time after time, after centuries of killing and murdering our people. We are not taught to have patience and love to one another. We're not taught to be patient with our brothers and sisters. That's why at the drop of a dime, we just go and kill everybody. We're not taught to be humble so that we can learn that somebody's trying to tell you you're doing something wrong. We're not taught these things. Why? Because this is what the aged men were supposed to be teaching, and they didn't teach this. This is what God said was supposed to happen, and they didn't teach this. You understand? Verse 3, it says, the aged women, likewise, there's a very important role for the aged women, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness. Holiness means to be separate. It doesn't mean to sing. It doesn't mean to just close your eyes and rock back and forth, waving your hands to Jesus. Even though a lot of fake Israelites want to hold choir rehearsal and wave their hands like in church to Jesus. That's not what holiness means. You understand? And to show if somebody is telling you and trying to make you do that, after all that we've learned in the Christian church shows that they don't have the Spirit of the Lord. You understand? That ain't the spirit that the Lord was in. There's a time and a place for everything. Us in captivity, getting killed with our babies in dog cages and our land destroyed and dying on reservations, getting forgotten about. This is not the time for singing and dancing before the Lord. The Lord has been furious at our people for centuries. You understand? It says to becometh holiness. Holy means separate, meaning you are not available for everybody, for everything. Every march, everything that comes up, you'll see a bunch of black women all in the middle of the movement. The gay people, they having a march, bunch of black women with goddamn signs everywhere. The community programs, what you see, bunch of women on the goddamn microphone. I just think, and we need to come together and put the guns down, and there's a bunch of women everywhere, available for every goddamn thing. There's a protest, nobody watching the kids, mommy all in the goddamn street. You see the blackity black groups. They got assault rifles and shotguns. What do you see? Mommy in her damn sandals with 12 gallons of tail and 10 gallons of breast out there with hips everywhere, holding a goddamn shotgun like she ready for war. You in every goddamn thing. All in Dubai, all across the world, Carmen San Diego. You should not be available for everyone. The feminist movement should not have been able to just come and scoop you up and use you to help the white woman get the agenda for women's rights to be pushed, only for her to get rights with the white man. Like, you available for everything. You should not be. You understand? A hoe is available with open access for everyone to be exploited, to be used, to be pimped. You understand? You should not be available. You understand? The Chinese woman is not available to be exploited. You understand? The Arab woman is not available to be exploited. The African woman, the Nigerian and Ethiopian, she's not available to be exploited the way that America is able to exploit her. The way that America is able to exploit Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. You understand? They not available. They sing. They ain't good at it. They dance. They ain't good at it. They're not available to be exploited. You understand? They little girls is not available to be exploited by Dr. Nasser, so that the sister who get raped by the goddamn NFL, by the damn Olympic coach, is twisting in a goddamn G-string, all flipping in the air, half out of her mind, thinking how she molested, but more concerned with doing these stupid flips for America to get these gold medals while they allow the rapist to remain the doctor for 40 goddamn years. You understand? That ain't holiness. There should be sober-minded men that is not accepting and allowing this nonsense to continue. Commander General YAHANNA teaches men to be sober, teaches us to think about the grave and temperate matters of things that the Christian church said, oh, that's too black. We don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about the sweetness of Jesus. And God I'll just pray for this is a disgusting, evil, selfish thing you hear Christians say all the time. And you don't realize how disgusting it is. I'll just pray about it. Prayer doesn't solve problems. You understand? Praying to the Lord is necessary. That's correct. But the problem from all the child molestation is not getting solved by praying. It gets solved by stopping the goddamn child molester. The problem with drug dealing doesn't get solved by prayer. It gets solved by stopping the drug dealer. The problem, you understand, gets solved by stopping the issue. God's answers to prayers was sending men of the Lord to fix the situation, to put things in their proper order and perspective. You understand? Well, we just gonna pray for it. If you were a part of the force that God created to stop the evil that everybody knows that's constantly going on, then you would see what the purpose of those prayers are for, how situations get solved. You know what's so evil? Houston, Texas is filled with Christian churches, and Houston had a huge flood that came, and you know who was not there? All of these preachers that teach you to pray on it, and Jesus take the wheel, and God, Jesus can work it out and fix it, Jesus. They weren't there. And you know something so evil that I saw, that you have to be a man of God to see how evil this is. In the city of TD Jakes, there were people singing Christian gospel church songs in waist deep water. It was filled with black women. The same ones the Christian church teaches that they got a personal relationship with Jesus, that you don't need a man, that Jesus can work it out, that long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. The Lord said he created you for a man. And you're supposed to be with a man. Because Commander General YAHANNA appointed men of the Lord that moved everybody every time there's a flood coming. The sisters and brothers in the school get evacuated. The babies get evacuated. You aren't allowed to stay where you are. That's why there's a covering on your head. In your mind, it does not matter that the Lord set a man up in authority until the flood comes. And you're in the Superdome and you don't have a man, but it's full of men, but your protection is not there because you were not evacuated from the city when the Lord put a man of God in charge, that everybody in Louisiana is supposed to be following that man, and they would have all been evacuated before the city flooded. But our people are accustomed to listen to these preachers instead of getting in the I.S.U.P.K under the authority that the men of the Lord set up to teach the aged men to be sober, that can teach the young men to be sober and grave and temperate and sound in faith and patient with our people, that will teach the aged women to be in holiness, not false accusers, is what it said, not lying on brothers, lying on sisters. You understand? Not given to much wine, drunk all in the street. This does not mean you cannot drink. This does not mean that you are not able to drink if you want to. If your husband tells you that you can't drink, then your drinking is over. You understand? Why? Because the head of the woman is the man. You might like to drink. Your husband might see that when you drink, you act a goddamn fool. You don't know what to say out of your mouth. You're getting in fights. You're starting stuff. You're tearing your clothes off. You're doing all kind of stuff. There needs to be someone to tell you you are out of order. If there is no one to tell you, then you will end up all on twerking on the goddamn table in a restaurant. If no one can ever correct you and you feel with rights and feminism, and I don't apologize to nobody, and I'm grown in my body, I can do what I want, and I'm an individual with personal salvation in me and Jesus, no one can correct you. That's where our people are today. That's where many sisters are today. You understand? That's a step away from a fall off of a cliff when no one can tell you something you're doing or the things or the behavior you're doing is wrong. The aged woman dropped the ball because they were sitting in church learning how to rule over the man. You understand? Sitting in church, learning how to, you would see bits and pieces of it, and it gradually wore away the strength of brothers. In the 60s, the 70s, black men were strong. They were bigger, stronger, more afros, more bass in their voice. They were strong as hell. And gradually, brothers got weaker and weaker and weaker to the point that Medea is the damn representation of strength and power in the black community. Farrakhan said it himself. How did that happen? That a man dressing up like a ratchet, evil black woman became the strength and the symbol of power in the community. How did that happen? You understand? That was the plan our oppressor had. The policy that he set up to cause craft to prosper that Daniel was talking about. You understand? That the aid not given to much wine, teachers of good things. Women are supposed to teach, older women are supposed to teach young sisters good things. You understand? What good things were they supposed to teach? We're going to get more in the scriptures. That they may teach the young women to be sober. You got to be sober about about how you dress, about your body. You understand? You got to be sober about the outfit that you wear. Sisters are not sober. You understand? This is not an excuse for what is being done to our sisters, right or wrong. But our sisters do not think sober when they put outfits on, while they are exposing all of their behind on the streets with the see-through clothing that they are wearing on the street in a pair of bras and some drawers. You understand? That is not sober. It is not sober to put your daughters in the goddamn gymnastics leotard with it riding up their behind, exposing damn near all of their nakedness. That's not sober. You understand? It's not sober to have them flipping and spreading their legs all in the goddamn air before the whole goddamn planet. That's not sober. Mommy may think it's acceptable, and a weak, effeminized man who has had the strength and the power stripped away from them, raised mainly by mommies only, thinks that this is acceptable, but that's not wise. You understand? That's not wise. Now, this does not excuse what happened, but it is not wise to do this. It's summer right now, and you'll see sisters on the streets, pants all the way up into the crack of their behind. The behind is exposed, clothes tight. You understand? It's one thing to wear things that are your size. It's also something to dress, you understand, in an appropriate manner. No one can teach sisters what dressing appropriate is, because it's my body, my choice. I'm a diva boss lady, hot girl summer. I make my own money. I got my own everything. I got a degree. You don't tell me what to do. Don't nobody own me. I do what I want. All throughout the nation. Have you seen my daughter? Have you seen my sister? This is so and so. She was last seen. The actions that you take not only affect you, but they affect the other sisters. This is what it means to think sober. You understand? This is what it means. Our people are not taught to be sober. Our people are taught to do what makes you happy. You understand? Crack makes a crackhead happy. You understand? Coke make a cokehead happy. Heroin makes a heroin addict happy. Percocets, Molly, Xanax, and weed and syrup makes happy. You understand? A lesbian is happy with another woman. A homosexual is happy with another man, chasing their happiness and their feeling of what they taught is acceptable. But it doesn't line up with what the Lord said and is calling our people to die. You understand? It's a very childish thing to live your life chasing happiness. That's why the scripture says, she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she yet liveth. Your whole life can't be about pleasure. America exploits sisters, teaching them to chase whatever makes you happy, and it keeps you in pleasure constantly. You understand? $500 pair of goddamn shoes in a community where everyone is about to be homeless because they're getting ready to go condos. $400 or $500 shoes and shirts and dresses and shoes. $300-400 pair of shoes. Getting ready to get the lights and utilities cut off. Our people don't think sober. We thought happiness. We've been taught America's lust-filled design for our lives to just chase and do whatever makes you happy. So if you make me unhappy, I can just cut you off. That's what the Christian church, that's what feminism, that's what this spirit has taught sisters. That's not a sober mind. You understand? It says, teach the young women to be sober. It is to be sober to know that to love their husbands. That's the next thing. It is very unsober for our sisters to think that you as a woman is not supposed to have a husband. The Lord withheld wisdom from a woman so that you would be reliant on your man. You are growing breasts to produce milk, to feed children. You're producing eggs in puberty and having a cycle so that you can accept and carry babies. Once your eggs are fertilized by the husband, the scriptures is telling you that the Lord created a woman for. It's not sober to think that you should be separated from a man. It's not sober to think that you can find in another woman what you think you don't need from a man. That's not sober. You understand? To love their husbands. What does it mean to love your husband? You understand? To obey what your husband is saying. To follow your husband. Well, these men don't know how to lead, and this and that. You are raising these men that don't know how to lead. You're raising them. You threw the father away. You got rid of him. You didn't want him to be around for the kids. Don't try to hold ransom and put him on child support after you decided you were going to now take his tail and give it to every other man in the neighborhood who made more money than him. And now all of a sudden he's supposed to be there and suck it up while you sit there and let the whole goddamn NFL football team run through your behind, disrespecting him, disrespecting the kids, belittling him. What are you doing? You ain't paying no bills around here. Why don't you go get some more money? Plenty of sisters have thrown away and bypassed the men that they needed to lead and direct their lives to keep them safe and protected. And they threw that man away because they were chasing what made them happy and happiness. You understand? And that's how you met Ike Turner, busting you upside your head, breaking your jaw, bruising your ribs. It is not right. We don't advocate violence, but God creates spirits for vengeance for them that disobey the Lord. You do not have permission from God to go have sex with another man. You're going to leave the father. You're going to leave that man and go be with another man, and you are going to put your children in danger because you are going to find the child molester that makes you happy. Because he says all the right things and he makes all the money. He pays the bills around here. That's why everybody supported R. Kelly. R. Kelly was paying bills. Eddie Long was paying bills. Mr. Jimmy got the money. He got the Benz. Don't you say that about him. He treat this family good. Don't you talk about him like that. Don't you say that about the coach. You understand? Don't you talk about pastor like that. You respect in stature. Because the head that God appointed over you, you rejected him because America told you that you had to choose. The Lord never intended for a woman to choose what man would have her. That's not sober. That's why I said that they may teach the young women to be sober. It's not sober for you to think that you should decide. You understand? Because you are choosing the man that really likes to have sex with women. You're choosing men that don't want to be with you. That's why you find out midway through the relationship, it's not working out. You weren't sober in understanding that this may or may not work out before you put your tail in his lap. That's not sober. Nobody's teaching our sisters this. The aged woman was supposed to teach our sisters this, but they was in church learning how to get from up underneath a woman thou art loose. They was in church praying to statues so that the wave of our oppressor with their money and their feminist movement, that would raise your children from now on. That man's authority was getting belittled. You remember hearing this. You say, why don't you just keep your mouth closed? Why did you just keep your mouth closed? You don't know what you're talking about. You simple. Why don't you just shut your mouth? Shut your mouth. This is what you started to hear. The more and more feminism, the more and more integration, less and less respect for that man. Less and less respect for that father. Less and less respect for granddaddy. Less and less respect for Pop and Paul. You understand? And as you hear it, then she started having babies with other men. And now you see less and less respect. And a ton of times you'll see, which is sober, sisters don't realize how you destroy your sons. A lot of people complain, oh, these men, they don't treat women right and this and that. Your son saw all the men you had sex with, all of those friends, all of those uncles. He saw them coming and running through your tail like a goddamn assembly line in a factory. Saw you getting passed around, being in the car with every goddamn body, hanging, sitting in everybody's lap. They in and out the damn house. He saw you, and you made him not respect women because you damaged him by what he saw you do. And you don't think that you did and don't realize it. Then you grow up and wonder why none of these men want to keep sisters. You put that demon on them. You understand? Of course, in the I.S.U.P.K, Commander General YAHANNA teach brothers how to get over all the trauma and the horrible things, and sisters too, of what we've been taught and what we witnessed coming and growing up, man. Like, it's a lot of damage that has been done to our people, and the magnitude is not realized unless you sit under the teachings to hear what the Lord put in the prophet he set up to teach our people the correct way, man. Like, you taught these things. I'll never forget, I watched the documentary of Iceberg Slim. He's a famous pimp. If you don't know who he is, you can look up his book. I believe his audio book is on YouTube. I listened to a good portion of it, and one of his wives that was still alive, she was telling the story about his life and everything that he told her. Iceberg Slim told this story, said he was a good, loving boy. His mother and father were together. They loved him so much. That father loved and did anything for a woman, anything for her, loved her, everything. Shalom, boy, Shem Shem Barakatah. And he remembers that they would argue periodically, and the father would talk and talk and talk, and then she had went and met another man, and this man drove the nice car that she saw pictured herself in that car with him, and he had to dress the fancy suits and the money and everything, and she saw him, and she desired to be with him, and she didn't want that father that was going to take care of the family anymore. She didn't want that father. She didn't care about how hard he worked to keep that family together and that money and everything he did to take care of that family. And he remembers the father crying and weeping and begging his mother not to leave. And the mother just walked out the door with the son, the luggage, everything, and left that father by himself. And she went to go on and fulfill her fantasy of living, of woman thou art loose, chasing her happiness, going after her goals. Let nobody stop your blessing. What God has for me is for me. She went and chased after that. And he said it destroyed him to see his father broken like that, trashed like that. It may seem normal and commonplace, but spiritually, that is a very damaging thing to a brother or a sister. You understand? Our people have not been taught to understand the grave and temperate matters and why the Lord said to be sober. You don't realize the damage that you do taking those children away from that man. You understand? You don't realize the damage, the widespread damage that is done in our community. You understand? By you going and being with multiple men. And brothers don't realize the damage that's done by having sex with sisters and throwing them away. These are grave and temperate matters that a Christian who hears no evil, sees no evil, speaks no evil, only talk about what's good. We don't want to talk about that. Well, you'll find out on your own. There's a responsibility for you to teach your sons and daughters that God said sex is marriage. That God said what we can and can't eat. What God says is a marriage. How God says a man is supposed to be, how a woman is supposed to be. Our people have not been raised this way. That's why our families are destroyed. That's why every Black, Hispanic, and Native American needs to get in the I.S.U.P.K to learn the lessons from the prophet that God set up to lead this nation, which is Commanding General YAHANNA, and the men that he put in charge and authority. The shootings in Norfolk and Richmond and Newport News and Portsmouth and Woodbridge, these shootings are not going to stop, neither should they stop until Black people, Hispanics, and Native Americans in Virginia get in these I.S.U.P.K classes for Virginia. There should be a triple shooting tonight. There should be 5 and 6 stabbings in every city and state until all of our people obey the Lord and get where God said to be, to learn how to stop our families from killing each other. It's not going to stop. You understand? All right. So this is what it said. So now we back here. We're still in Titus chapter 2 and verse 5 and verse 4. That they may teach the young woman to be sober. Be sober about your life. Your body is supposed to be for your husband. You understand? It's not supposed to be for every boy that has ever made you smile or passed the J to you or offered you a Newport or a Black and Mild or some Percocets or a good time or a car to ride in or $40 on the phone or the light bill. You understand? Your body is not for the world. Megan Thee Stallion was not taught this. She was taught women's empowerment. You understand? Cardi B was not taught this. You understand? Rihanna was not taught this. Beyonce was not taught this. Sisters is not being taught this. You understand? They're being taught you diva, queen, boss lady, do what you want, hot girl summer. You understand? You don't answer to nobody. Who gonna handle me? That's what Megan said. But Megan would have never said that had not the previous generations failed to teach her mother the correct way. You understand? It says to be sober, to love their husband. Sisters is not being taught how to even have a husband. You understand? How to listen to a man, how to prepare a home for a man, how to keep a house, how to learn how to clean properly and wash dishes and prepare a home and vacuum and wash clothes properly and shop for the groceries properly. It's a thing to learn how to love your husbands and your children, to prepare a meal for your family. That's an important thing that you need to teach your daughters. Because if you are not feeding your children, they will be in the street at the carryout all hours of the day and night. If you fed them and they fell asleep after they ate, they would be in the house. But if they got to go and find some food for themselves, because you out turn up Tuesdays, you understand? Or you've been busy learning how to twerk and put your butt in front of a camera, as opposed to how to cook eggs and bake a chicken and make greens, you understand, and turkey necks and mac and cheese and cook rice and prepare meals and breakfasts and lunches, you understand? You won't know how to love your children, how to care and keep the laws concerning your children, how to teach your daughters, teach them how to keep their mouth in check. You understand? How not to jump all in a man's face thinking that they equal to a man. How not to sit in every man's lap just because they make them smile or happy. These are important lessons. Sisters is not being taught this. You understand? Like, these are important lessons of what it means, what the Lord created a woman to do. How to love their children, how to prepare for children, how to train your mind that you may have to sacrifice what's going to make you happy for what your husband wants, for what your children wants. You understand? You might lose sleep. You can't go and start getting high and smoking cigarettes, because you're going to taint the milk that you're going to need to feed to your children. You can't go out and have sex with everybody. You must be sober and temperate and think of grave matters, so that you don't get all the chlamydia and herpes and gonorrheas that all the hoes having hot girl summer is getting. That must be taught. You understand? You're going to give your husband some disease box that's burning the whole goddamn zip code, because Rihanna says, didn't you know I was a savage? Or it's hot girl summer, or real thought-ish, like Megan Thee Stallion said. Like, these are grave, sober, temperate matters. Your adversary, the devil, goes about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he can devour. Be sober, be vigilant. 1 Peter 5:8. You understand? Teach them to love their husbands. Now, understand that you don't put a man out of the house, whether you paying all the bills or he paying all the bills. You remove the covering that the Lord set up over that house. You understand? You don't go and take these children from this man and go put your children, because you tired of dealing with the father, you want to go be with another man. And you're going to take your children over the house so that your new boyfriend can molest everybody because you need a goddamn babysitter. You don't think about these things because our sisters are not being taught to be sober, to be temperate, to understand the realities of situations. You don't put your kids with strangers. You understand? Now you got to worry about the women you're leaving your children with, because you let all the goddamn lesbians and you made them happy and acceptable in the community, and nobody ever thought to correct the behavior about this woman that wants to be a man. How is she going to exercise her masculinity over another woman without busting her upside the head of what she thinks the strength of a man is supposed to be? How is she supposed to do that? She don't have a rod. She can't give her kids. What is she going to do? What part of masculinity is she going to try to put on as a woman to convince another woman that she's going to be a man? What is she going to do? Our people don't think sober about these things because there's too much goddamn singing. There's too much church. There's too much choir rehearsal. There's too many marches and too many prayer and candlelight visuals, and not enough correction from the aged men that are thinking sober and grave and temperate about what is needed to fix, protect, direct, and correct our families as a people. You understand? It's still not being made the correlation of loving your children. Nobody's loving their children if you separate them. How the hell you think the child is supposed to be raised with one parent? You understand? Like, these things have to be taught. They're not being taught. If you fed up, you can go. That's what's being taught. You understand? I listen to sisters in all of these feminist groups that is talking on this clubhouse. This clubhouse teaches you a lot of things. You get to hear the scriptures say, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. And hearing what's in sisters' hearts out of their mouths is they don't think that there's a purpose for a man at all. You understand? They think a man is supposed to be their son, some child that they can tell what to do and put a bunch of ultimatums on. And if they get displeased in any way, they can just wipe his life out, go to the courts, get the courts to force them to give him money, and then go take his kids away in his house and just go and live in pleasure. Like, that is the general spirit that is on our sisters, that the Christian church, that the world has put in our people. You understand? What does it mean to love your husbands? The aged women are supposed to teach a woman, you lay down and have sex with a man, that is your husband until you die. And your father is supposed to approve and find this man to take over the duties that he is supposed to do. They can't learn this if they don't ever see you with their father. If they see you with 10, 25, 6, or even 2 different men, they see you with another man besides that father, how the hell are you going to teach them how to love their husbands? Thou hast had 5 husbands. You understand? How are they supposed to learn this? You better bring them in the I.S.U.P.K so the Commander General YAHANNA can teach them. Unless you want this to continue. You understand? Verse 5 says to be discreet. What is discreet? Don't put all your goddamn business on the internet. You understand? All of your problems, all of your thoughts, you understand? They should not be in the streets. Everybody should not know the business of what's going on in your family, in your marriage, with your life. It should not be an open book for the whole world to be in all of your business. You understand? The courts, the police, the judges, the Chinese, the Africans, the Arabs, they should not know about the problems and issues that you are having in your relationships. Maury and Springer should have never had the ability to go and exploit you and make a career out of you running on the stage because you've had sex with 10 men and you don't know who the goddamn father is. That is not discreet. That ain't discreet. And the only way that the aged woman would ever be able to teach the young woman to be sober is if they were under the authority of the man. Because the aged woman, without the authority of the man, your authority as a woman is diminished without that man's authority to back you. The laws in the court are worthless without the police to show up with guns to force you to obey them. That's what our people don't understand and make this connection. There's an order to the way that the Lord set life up. You understand? And what our brothers and sisters have been taught is not reality. We live in a fantasy world, a fantasy that we are included in a society that does not protect us, that does not address and deal with the problems that we have. You understand? So let's get some more. To be discreet about what you wear, about your body, about, you understand, things. And you should not be an open book to the world. The father is supposed to watch and see. No, you don't need to be doing that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? No, we don't need to be doing that. No, tell her don't do that. Well, I just think and I said this. Go tell her don't do that. Well, I just think and I feel that it's okay. I remember a conversation. Of course, most of these people are dead now that I come into the truth, and they thought it was a joke that we should obey the Most High. They're dead and gone now. You understand? But I remember a brother telling his wife at his rib at the time, telling him not to buy her, I think she was either 12 or 13, around 12, 13, 14, telling G-strings and thongs from Victoria's Secret. And the mother felt as though this was something that was not right for him to tell the sister not to go and buy these things for her daughter at 13, 12, 14, 15. And in the sister's mind, she's thinking, well, she's growing up. This is just, this is right. And in the brother's mind, he's thinking, I know what I am looking at G-strings and thongs for, to tear some tail up. Are you trying to tell this girl with her hormones raging, that is a teenager, you understand, to now go and wear to show these off to somebody? And the dynamic between understanding and making the connection was, do I want my 12, 13, 14-year-old daughter showing her behind in these G-strings that I'm going to buy for her to somebody? Is she just going to wear them just for them to go underneath her uniform, right? She's not going to show them to anybody or everybody or Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or the whole basketball team. Like the idea and notion between, or I should just listen to my man, completely blown. I got my own, and the demon is saying what Esau has taught our sisters. I got my own mind. I got my own money. I got my own job. I got my own career. I got my own place. I shouldn't have to listen to him. Why do I need him? Why is he telling me what to do? I can accept what he wants, or I can just do whatever I want to do anyway. You know, this ain't the 50s and the 60s. I don't need no man telling me what to do. The demons from the thoughts of the witchcraft that our oppressor has put in there has voided the order that God set up, the same way that he did in the Garden of Eden with Eve. So now your man's word, that don't mean nothing. Oh, you know, he just a man, you know how men, they overreact to things. And like, no, that boy shouldn't be playing with purses. He shouldn't be around here skipping like that. He shouldn't be whining all the time. Like, well, he just sensitive. And you know, that's just how everybody not strong like you. Everybody not going to be rough and masculine and say he's a boy. This is how boys are supposed to act. Well, if he want to be this, then just let him be this. Don't just, you see, look, he's upset. You're going to make him upset. You're going to make him cry. And this, well, maybe you should upset him and let him cry before 20 years later, he's taking a rod in his behind, and 10 years after that, he's dead from AIDS. You understand? Mommy don't have this mindset of this sober. The Lord did not put that in a woman. That's why a ton of sisters is able to watch, you understand, Medea and men dressed up as women and don't see a problem with it. It's just fun and laughing and, oh, Lamar. And you know what, he don't like to be called Lamar no more. He called him Stephanie, but we used to call him Lamar. You know how see Lamar got his hair and nails done. Like you in your silliness, accepting these things that our people is taught to accept these things, not realizing if you supporting this man being a woman and you're a woman, that he gonna compete with you over who's gonna be the better woman. You understand? There's no magical man just somewhere. He gonna be competing with you for the man. Man is for you. You understand? You are made for a man. Well, now he want to take your spot that he gonna be made for a man. And in your silliness, the feminism and the Christianity and the women's liberation has taught you to accept these things as, well, okay, that's just how people want to be. You know, it's just the times. As opposed to this is some threat to you, because this is who's supposed to be protecting you and marrying your daughters and your aunts and sisters and cousins. But that does not connect, because the aged women have not taught sisters this, because they've been separated from listening to that man. And he's been separated from his power, his strength, masculinity, and everything of him being in rulership and authority, because we went and joined Islam and the civil rights and America and the government, the military, the police, and became mayors and senators and started voting and became Democrats and Republicans. And now we think it is someone else's responsibility to fix our people and our communities and our families. And if we could just move from a certain area, then the problems will be fixed, which is not the case. You understand? So it says that they may teach young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Our sisters even teaching, you understand? I don't see a lot of sisters, of course, not in the UPK, but sisters is not teaching their daughters when you grow up and have a husband and have children. Like I hear sisters saying when you have children, but you very rarely hear when you have your husband. Well, this is how you take care of your husband. Don't do that. Don't come with all that mouth. Men don't like that. Don't be like that. You're going to make him mad. Don't do that. You don't need to be in no man's. Nobody is teaching sisters this. You understand? This is what it means for a woman to be godly. Not teaching her that, you married to Jesus. She's supposed to be taught how to be a mother and a wife from watching you be a mother and a wife. You see what I'm saying? This is a very important lesson. To be discreet, chaste, means she's not having sex with everybody. Keepers at home. She's supposed to know how to keep a home, how to keep food in the refrigerator, how to know how much juice and water that her sons and daughters are going to drink up. You understand? what the proper detergent, the proper amount of this, and not to mix the whites with the colors and this and that, and to check to make sure it's not socks under the bed and dirty clothes hidden somewhere that your sons or your daughter is hiding, to make sure that these things are clean for your husband, to make sure that the food is prepared. Teach your daughter when she needs to set the meat out, to be thawed out, to be able to cook it for dinner, to prepare this for breakfast, not to be in bed all day on the phone or on Twitter watching soap operas, making twerk videos, how to be a wife and a mother, how to keep a home, making sure there's toilet paper in the cabinets, there's tissue and paper towels, the appropriate medicine is there. Is it diapers? Is it wipes? Are we out of soap? Are the clothes dirty? That's what it means to be a keeper at home. You won't have time to learn and do all these things if you're making 1,000 TikTok and Instagram posts with your butt in front of a camera. You won't have any time to learn how to do this. This is very important lessons that the Lord said that a godly woman is supposed to do. It ain't got nothing to do with sitting in church, beating a tambourine, lining all the damn seats up while some homosexual tells you that you don't need a man or that you married to Jesus. When we reading in the Bible, the whole New Testament is telling you you was made for a man and to help a man and to keep a man's home and to take care of a man's kids and to take care and love your man. That's the whole thing you're supposed to be raised up and trained for in life. That does not mean you cannot be a doctor. That does not mean you cannot have a career. That does not mean you are chained to a stove in the house. That does not mean you are not allowed to go and do anything or have any fun or anything, but your life is not supposed to be about pleasure. The majority of our people, the majority of any race of people are women, except for the stupid Moabites who thought it was a good idea to start to kill off all the female children. And now they realize that they got 5 times as many women, 5 times as many men as they do women, because they started to kill off the women because only the male was important. This is the silly things that a heathen believes in. Like they got problems finding women for men because they've been killing off all the female babies because the man was important and the woman was not. You understand? That's not what we're saying here. Sisters are extremely important. We love sisters in the UPK. You understand? Multiple sisters. You understand? Take them, make them wives, make them mothers, teach them. You understand? The Lord's purpose, the Bible, the Spirit of the Lord is to give a man power. The sons and daughters that you carry in your womb are for that man. That makes him powerful. Those sons will be his strength in his later years. Those daughters will be his strength and his wealth in those later years that he will give to another man. You understand? To extend another brother's family so that he can be powerful. That he is going to examine, is this a good man for my daughter? How does he respond to these things? How does he deal with this? How is he going to handle this? Does he know? Is he going to be able to deal with my daughter's mouth? Is he going to get mad and punch her in the face? I can tell that you may get mad and punch my daughter in the face. You just may see how white his teeth are and how well he sings and how nice he dances and the nice car he drives. You're not going to see that if you say something he don't like, he going to people's elbow you in your ribs. You don't see that. I can see that. A man can see that. A woman cannot see that. That's why a woman is not supposed to choose the man. That is emasculation. A man has a right to choose who he's going to give his daughter to. If you did not trust this man to make this decision, you should not have opened your behind for him. This is what it means to be sober, to be chaste. A man of the Lord had to teach them this. That's why Paul is teaching this. That's why I am teaching this. That's why Commander General YAHANNA taught us this, because this is what the Lord wants our people to understand in the Bible. These are life and death lessons that may not seem that important until you marry Ike Turner, until you lay down and have sex with the drug dealer that you love so much because he had all the power and the juice in the neighborhood, and you're in the car with him when they shoot the car up, and you and the baby in the back seat die. You understand? There's an important place and a reason why the Lord set a man up and intended for this man to be in power and authority. The most important thing is for a man to be in righteousness and power and authority. If sisters understood the way that God set life up, sisters would pile into the I.S.U.P.K, you understand, Like you pack furniture into a moving truck. If they understood how important the job was and how valuable the men that the Lord set up are to the work that God wants done in the earth to fix and repair our families and communities, you understand? But they in church learning vanity and nothing from homosexuals and child molesters. You understand? That's what it says, to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home. Learning how to be home. A lot of times sisters are not raised to be home. They're raised to be in the streets. Everywhere. This party, that party is fine to go and enjoy yourself, but you should not always be in the streets. Because once you have those kids, you ain't going to be able to be all over the world. That's the goal. That's why it's saying an aged woman is supposed to be teaching you this is how you prepare. It doesn't seem important until you get older, you get sick, and you realize that all of the money and the wealth that you got together, you're going to have to pay for someone else to protect you. You're going to have to pay for someone else to take care of you because you didn't keep the kids. You aborted the babies for your career and your good time, and you turn up Tuesdays. But that's who was supposed to take care of you when you get old and sick. That's where you were supposed to be pouring your resources and things into the next generation, into making that man strong. So if that man is wise and powerful enough, he can go and be a good husband to multiple sisters. Otherwise, they'll be on the street acting a goddamn fool or worrying themselves to death or making decisions thinking they right, but really hurting themselves in the community. Why not let that have that man be in strength and power to put the nation and our people back in order? Do you want those sons that were raised by her alone in the streets robbing you at gunpoint? You better you better understand the importance of a man being in power and why the scriptures are saying these things, man. But our people don't make that connection because the Christian church doesn't teach what's in the Bible. It says to be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, obedient to their own husbands. Sisters don't have a problem being obedient to Dr. Phil and Dr. Oz and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Bill Clinton, but they have a problem being obedient to their own husband. Husbands say, don't go here. Well, I want to go here. You don't own me. You don't tell me what to do. I'm grown. It's my body, my choice. Sisters first got to understand that a husband is the man you had sex with. You understand? That's what makes you a wife. That's what makes a husband. You lay down and have sex with a woman, that is your wife. You are not allowed to have sex with a woman that is already laid with another man. That is adultery. You understand? You are not allowed to have sex with a woman and then throw her away for another woman. You have to keep them both. If you leave one woman, you make me want to leave the one I'm with, start a new relation. You do that, that is adultery. You put that first woman in jeopardy and you destroy her now that you make her feel like she's trash because you threw her away for the next good time. You have to keep them both, or all three, or all four. You understand? These things are important. You understand? This is how we fix our nation. This is why it said, you understand, early up in verse 2, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith. Like you have a responsibility to teach. The old men didn't teach, so now I'm here teaching. Commander General YAHANNA taught me, and now I'm here to teach the brothers and sisters, man. All right? Good, obedient to their own husbands. Not fighting your husband all the goddamn time. He say, don't do this, don't do this. Whole bunch of mouth and back. I don't think, well, if you didn't do this, and you don't tell this and that, that's how you stay single. And then you end up 50 wondering, why am I alone? Why am I sad? I got money, I got this, I got that, I got everything. I'm on my own. And you making TikTok videos trying to pump yourself up while the humble sisters learn to shut their mouth and cook for their husband. And they sitting there on you understand, celebrating years of marriage. And here you are, bitter as hell in everybody else's business, still trying to find somebody who wants that tail you done passed to everybody since 14 years old. Like, the Lord didn't set life up to be that way, man. This is what life became by not obeying the words that the Lord set up. It says, obedient to their own husband, that the word of God be not blasphemed. The young men likewise exhort to be sober-minded. You're supposed to be teaching these things to young men. A young man needs to learn how to choose a good woman. You'll mess around and choose child support, choose a landmine. You'll mess around and fall in love with some monster that'll have sex with your best friend, You understand? Or your homeboys as well. Like, you have to be taught these things. You understand? All tale ain't good tale. You understand? These things have to be taught. There's a way to choose a woman. If you do not have a woman, you are advised to get in the I.S.U.P.K in these classes and learn how to pick a proper woman. Some women that's going back and forth with you, cutting you off. You understand? You need to learn what to ask a woman, how to question a woman properly before you step on a bunch of landmines, because sisters in the world are monsters. Heartless, cruel, baby-killing, proud, arrogant monsters. Not all sisters, but that is the spirit that is controlling a good sway percentage of our people, of sisters that are in the world. And you need to be aware of those things. You need to be sober-minded to understand that it is danger. You understand? All right. In all things, showing thyself a pattern of good works, and doctrine showing uncorruptness, gravity, sincerity, understanding how important it is the decisions and choices that you make. There's no weight of your actions waiting on how this will reflect on the people. That's why at the parade, sisters is twerking on the goddamn police car as the police is driving through the damn parade. They're twerking on the police car. Yet the Black Lives Matter are twerking and doing splits, you understand, doing the busset challenge on the goddamn street at the Black Lives, All Lives Matter protests. Like, this is the things that the Lord created a woman for. You understand? And the reality of what our people have been taught, because the order God set up is not in place. You understand? Sisters, the mothers, the wives, when the community was filled with those mothers and wives that were under the authority of those fathers, the sons and daughters knew how to get along. The daughters, the sisters got along better with each other. They supported each other instead of tearing each other down. They helped sisters come along. Sisters would help and share recipes with each other. You understand? The men were not in the streets fighting and shooting and killing each other. The children were not doing this. That's what it takes a father to help a child, help that daughter deal with her anger. You can't just throw a fit because you're angry. You can't just run away because you're upset. You can't just get mad and go attack everybody or go grab a weapon and just hit people. You got to be able to talk and deal with your problems. You got to be able to hold a conversation with people. You can't be so proud and arrogant that no one can tell you that something you're doing is wrong. You can't be too puffed up so that you can't be taught. There's a way you have to carry yourself. You are not allowed to be like everything you see. Like a father kept the nucleus and the gravity of the family in order when he was the one making all the money and paying for everything, and when he was not the one making all the money and paying for everything. The change was sisters were taught by America and these preachers to stop honoring and respecting him, and threw him out. And if they didn't throw him out, the spirit of not wanting, of not being respected and obeyed, and not even wanted to be around to correct everything, that said, get the hell out. And that mouth and everything else chased and threw black men out of the black community. That's why it's not ran by black men anymore. It's ran by mommy. And in order to fix those things, this is the order and the way that the Lord set up for a woman to be. And this is how a man has to be to fix it. You understand? With that, we the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. You understand? Start at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. We're not affiliated with any other Israelite groups. We're going to clap it up. That's the end of the class there. Rules for new brothers and sisters. When a brother or sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're here to learn only. They're here to learn and shed themselves of the world. There's a time to learn and shed yourself of the world. They have to earn that. You're not automatically by default. That's a very foreign concept as well. Earning something amongst our people. We have doctors, people that are called doctors that did not earn the title to be a doctor. You understand? Doctor this, Dr. Umar, doctor this, and doctor everybody. Like there's an order and a time to work, to put in, to sacrifice, to earn things. You understand? The brother, sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They'll be saluted only. They're here to learn and shed themselves of the world. All right? Let them earn. Let them sit there 6 months in their time the way that you had to sit and do your time. Let them do their 90 days to show if they are sincere about serving the Lord, if they're here for a good time, because this is something that's popular and it's the trend that's happening right now. It's a trend, you understand, to be an Israelite and say we the Jews is popular. Well, you understand? Well, I've been saying, and the men above me been saying we are Israelite and Jews when it wasn't trendy, when it wasn't met with warm reception, when it came with people pulling guns and knives on you and threatening to cut your head off at street speakings, when it came with women throwing you out of the house and taking your kids away and telling you you're a cult and taking you to court and calling the police and the FBI. That's what happened the decades before it became somewhat safe to say that you were an Israelite. Well, the I.S.U.P.K were fighting those battles before, when you didn't accept it, when mommy and grandma didn't accept it, while everyone watched from a distance as everyone threatened to kill the men of the Lord that stood with the Lord until he crushed our enemies. You understand? Let them sit and earn for 90 days to see if they are serious about becoming a part of this family. You understand? That's what it is. That's what those rules for. These rules are for the protection of all brothers and sisters that are in the school. Just like any good father, any good family has to have rules and guidelines. Otherwise, you will have what the black community is today. Chaos, anarchy, everyone does what they want. There's no safety, there's no justice. Everybody's hurt, everybody's angry. Commander General YAHANNA does not have that in UPK. We have rules and we have love, brotherhood and sisterhood, as the Lord commanded. All right. Tithes, which is a commandment of the Most High. 10% of every penny of any increase that the Most High gives you, you give to the school. You understand? Will go right, ISUPK.com. You can pay your tithes online. Put in your email. The email, you'll receive everything, be all set. All right. The upcoming high holy days, we don't have high holy day. The next thing that is coming up, Salaki, the next thing that is coming up is the annual cookout in Harlem. Should be August the 21st, coming up in a few weeks. You understand? Those advertisements and things are going out there on the I.S.U.P.K Virginia page. It's going to be in Harlem, New York. The information and everything is up there. You have any questions, contact the school in your area. Chances are, whatever city and state that you're in, there's a school in your area. You understand? All right. And lastly, if any brother wants to become a trooper in the school, if you want to get in this work, you understand, serve the Most High, boot up to be a part of the active force to fix and teach our people the correct way that the Lord said to live. You come in this school, contact the school. There's a school in just about every city and state. Contact the school nearest you and say you want to be a trooper, be in your all black, boots, shirt, pants, headband, war scarf. And with that, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the brothers. All right. Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Barakathum to the brothers. Yahweh Shamar Al Afun Bahashim Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Shalom. Class dismissed.